Not just one or two, but 3 hand sewing starter knot techniques. After these detailed how-tos, you will be able to start hemming that pair of jeans, mending the hole in your garment, or sewing that special project. Hello friends, I'm Nancy. As a bonus, we'll show you an easy way to thread a needle. So stay around for that. Now, let's get going with our first of 3 knots. Today we start with a threaded needle, keeping the thread ends equal on both sides of the eye. It's a bit more durable than a single strand and easier to see while we make the knot. We even up the ends of the threads and wrap the double thread once around the middle finger of our non-dominant hand, with the tail end of the thread crossing over the top to make an X. If you're right-handed, that's your dominant hand. If you're left-handed, that's your dominant hand. We pinch the thread between our thumb and middle finger. From underneath, where the thread is laying next to our nail, we use our other hand index finger to pull the thread out from underneath and up. We see a loop and grab it with our free hand while still holding the loop with our non-dominant hand. We use the index finger of our non-dominant hand to push the end of the thread from underneath the loop into the center of the loop. Then we use our thumb and index finger of our dominant hand to grab the end of the thread from above the loop and pull the thread tail until a knot forms. We've made a knot, but there's more to this knot. We'll see why in a moment. To make this a larger knot, we'll follow the same steps but with a bit of difference. This time, we'll place the new knot we just made in the center of the nail of our middle finger when we wrap the thread around that finger. We'll pull out the loop from underneath, we'll grab the tail ends from within the loop, and we start to pull the thread. This time, we pay attention to where the knot is in the loop. Keeping an eye on the knot, we slowly tug at the thread with both hands to get the second knot to form right over the first knot. We've just made a double knot. Now for our second knot technique. We start with a double-threaded needle. Double threading a needle refers to using a single strand of thread, then pulling both ends of the thread to meet evenly. A knot would join both ends together. When single threading a needle, we use one strand of thread through the needle's eye and leave one end of the strand longer than the other end. The longer end is where a knot would go. We take the end of the thread and wrap it around the index finger, making an X with the thread on the pad of our finger. The index finger, also known as the first finger, the pointer, or the forefinger. We squeeze the thread lightly between the index finger and the thumb. With those 2 fingers, we start rolling the crisscross thread between the fingers, pushing the thumb forward and the index finger backward while still squeezing the fingers lightly together. We start pulling the thread on the needle end with our non-dominant hand, still squeezing the knot end between our fingers. We've just made our second knot. Now for our third knot technique, and then the bonus. For this knot, we'll use a double-threaded needle once again. Any of these knots will work with a single-threaded needle as well. We take the eye end of the needle between our finger and thumb. Then we place the thread end on top of the needle between our fingers. With our other hand, we take the thread that extends from the thread end and wrap the thread closely around the needle 3 or 4 times. We slide all of the wound thread toward our thumb and finger and pinch those 2 fingers over the thread. Then we grab the pointed end of the needle and slide the needle out from our pinched fingers and slowly pull the thread. The excess thread gets pulled out through our pinched fingers until the knot end remains within our pinched fingers. We squeeze our fingers a little more tightly as the final bit of excess thread gets pulled through. And there is our final knot. We did it! Are you ready for our needle threading bonus? We are using a length of thread and a needle. Be sure that the needle eye is large enough to accept the thread. Snipping a bit of thread, off the end of your strand can make threading your needle easier. We start with pinching one end of our thread between our index finger and thumb in our non-dominant hand. We leave about a 1/4 inch or about 6 millimeters showing above our fingers. We bring the needle eye toward the thread tip while keeping the thread still. This is a change from the common practice of bringing the thread to the needle eye. We slide the eye of the needle over the thread end. Once we have a bit of thread through the needle eye, we pull more thread through. And there you have it, an easy needle threading method, ready for you to use with one of the knots that was featured today. Click the end card for more sewing tips and techniques. Until next time.